Stephanie Kibler with Risha Lilienthal. It's kind of the dog days of summer. Would you call it that?
Is that
I
what
don't
it
know.
means?
It's like we're moving from summer to fall. I feel like this is kind of the last of the best days.
Is that what that means?
Well, I think dog days of summer is supposed to mean it's really hot, but
That's what I thought.
I'm going to use it.
You're changing it. All right.
Because you know why?
Mix it up.
Because it's the salty dog day.
It's a salty dog.
The salty dog. We used to have a dog. We called her Professor Daisy Dog.
Oh,
She was so sweet. We'd say, Professor Daisy Dog, come here.
that's cute.
So this is an underappreciated cocktail, I'm told.
Oh,
Never had a salty dog.
me neither.
I love a Greyhound. Usually have it with vodka. And a salty dog basically is a Greyhound with a salted rim.
And gin.
And gin, traditionally.
Yes.
Now, the original recipe calls for gin, but the newer recipes, they're using vodka. So like a lot of times if you go into an establishment now and order a salty dog, it's going to be with vodka.
That's interesting. I feel like a lot of these drinks that we talk about are now using vodka instead of gin.
So I'm going to get to that, I think. I think that's
I mean,
in
I
my
have a theory.
deal.
So when you get to it, I have a theory.
So who invented the salty dog?
I don't know.
Well, apparently there's, guess what?
It's like a conflict.
A conflicting story. So supposedly, I think this is the most likable. The salty dog was originally created as a variation of the Greyhound cocktail, which makes
Sure.
sense.
Yeah.
Grapefruit, gin. And the original Greyhound was gin. So
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
that seems, to make some sense. George, it's Jessel, George Jessel,
Jessel?
added a salt rim to the popular Greyhound.
Nice.
Sometime in the 1950s. I liked this. As a way to increase the palatability of the drink for those who were less fond of the bitter grapefruit.
Ah, sure.
I kind of like that grapefruit. Like I even like a Sauvignon Blanc that's got a grapefruit in it. So
See, my mom has grapefruit like almost every morning.
Like
And I tried to do that when I was little because I was like, I'm going to be like mama,
oh, my mom did too, but then
Every
we get a
morning.
little bit of sugar on the top of it. That helps.
Oh, the actual grapefruit. My mom would have the juice.
Oh, I love grapefruit juice. I like it better with a little vodka, Greyhound style, but I do like grapefruit juice. So first mentioned in the Savoy cocktail book in the 1930s, which seems to be where a lot of cocktails are first mentioned. The Greyhound is thought to have been created by the author of the book, which is Harry Craddock. Originally from London, he moved to America, and I think we've talked about this before, to further his bartending career and spent most of the 1920s and 30s in the States, returning home when Prohibition hit and working at the famous Savoy Hotel is what he started to do then. It is thought that the Greyhound was created just before he moved back overseas.
So it is American.
It is American, kind of. They think that because gin was more popular in the U.S. at the time, and vodka was more popular overseas.
That makes sense.
So he started with gin, and then it kind of switched to the vodka. Oh gosh! So it said it became a popular drink. The Greyhound did, but it became even more popular in the 50s when Giselle added the salt rim. Now some recipes I saw used pink Himalayan salt.
Ooh, that'd be pretty.
Really pretty. And one that I saw used pink Himalayan salt with hibiscus, and it had like purple flecks.
Oh, I remember you saying that.
That was really pretty. But as with any cocktail, there is a controversy. One rumor is that the salty dog was first created sometime in the 50s by the same bartender who invented the Bloody Mary. That he wanted to change up the Greyhound into something more sophisticated. salt rim to me doesn't scream sophistication, but I don't know.
Maybe it's jewelry, like it's like diamond.
Maybe, I don't know.
Like frosted.
The tale involves George Giselle as the inventor, who was actually an actor from the 1920s, and by the 1950s was no longer famous and liked to tell the story as a way of keeping his notoriety.
Oh.
The actual creator could be lost in history. But for the most part, most people feel that George Giselle did the drink.
Sure.
I don't know. It's just interesting to me that every one of these we look at, it's like, no, wait, I did that. No,
But
wait, they did that.
Like,
oh, wait.
Because it was before copyright.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I suppose you could tweak it a little bit. And we did talk at one time, very few cocktail recipes are copyrighted. There's only like 4.
Right, because that's when we were talking about Shirley Temple and how she, like, didn't want it marketed. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Anyway, let's mix one up. They're super simple. So it doesn't call for this. It says to wet the rim of your glass. I want to grapefruit it like you do with a, when you do a margarita, you you use the lime.
That makes sense. And then we're not watering down our whole deal.
Yeah. What do I do with my ice? Oh, I guess you've got the ice.
I got the ice.
So then we're going to add some ice, and it's probably going to be about half and half, I think. Oh, do you think you got enough ice in there?
Maybe not. But I'm trying to share.
I figured we. There, you need some more. And then we're going to add the gin, and it does call for 1.5 ounces.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we did discover, we've done a few cocktail histories, and I think we've only got about 2 ounces of gin. So
Sure.
we're going to just start it with, and plus our little glasses are small.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, you're not going to see that, but maybe when we fill it, you can see our specialty glasses today. So here's 1 ounce, which is probably plenty for this.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, look at that. I bet you there's 1/2 ounce left in here. Oh, you know what?
Might just be perfect, or
Almost.
Oh.
Pretty close. Okay, that made me feel better. Misjudged my.
Yay.
And then you top it with a little grapefruit juice.
Oh, you just
Just
fill
top
that?
it off. Oh, shoot. And that is a salty
Nice.
dog.
Yeah, I don't believe you'll be able to see, but our new glasses have our logo on the side.
I was gonna drink before I cheers. Cheers. Yeah, so they're available in our gift shop,
Mm-hmm.
along with some fantastic coasters
Mm-hmm.
from that depict different pubs from Freeborn County. Most, I think, are early 1900s. Would you say?
Yep.
Hollandale's one. There's a couple from Albert Lee in there.
Yeah, they're really cute. You see like the whole bar on one of them at least, and then they have like spittoons like every other.
I know it. Guys in suits, guys in their
Yeah.
overalls.
And you can see little like posters. I don't know how easily it's to see on the posters.
Not as, it's a
but
little bit more, yeah.
The photos are really fun.
There's a dog sleeping in the side of one.
A salty dog.
A salty dog is in. There's a salty dog. He didn't look very salty.
No,
He kind
he
of
was
was like
sleepy.
out.
Sleepy dog.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. Did you want to go into the why? Oh no, you did say why we have gin, and like now why we do vodka instead of gin because it started to move over.
Well, and
us.
the quote was the bathtub gin. You know, that's
Oh.
then the U.S. became famous for, I think, during Prohibition for the bathtub gin,
Sure.
and I think then once that kind of
See, I was wondering if it wouldn't be because like a lot of people tend to be allergic to the juniper, and so I didn't know if maybe that's why it switched over. It could be both.
it could be.
Like vodka was more readily available, and
I will say I think I prefer a Greyhound.
oh,
The salt is a little much for me, and I do like salted rims, like for margaritas. And
see, I'm not fond of bitter. I'd rather have salty, so I think I like this
Interesting.
better. But I have a few like collection items and then also a Freeborn County story or two to talk about.
You have collection items that relate to a salty dog?
Very, very vaguely.
You're stretching. Okay.
So, I pretty much looked on our Past Perfect system here, program, and I looked up salt. And did you know that salt connects to cameras?
I did not.
Yeah, so we have a Rochester optical camera from 1903. They have plates that were invented in the early 19th century, and they were made of thin glass that was coated in a light sensitive emulsion of silver salts.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And what was it used for?
It was first light sensitive plates, and so it was used to create a photograph.
Oh, interesting.
And so it was the first ones, like Joseph Nepci, I don't know. Isn't that a weird name? It's French, so it probably has something in there that you don't pronounce. But in 1826, and that's what he did to make the first like photographs that we have today.
Interesting. With salt.
With salt. Yeah. I mean, on the plates, which go into the camera that you let expose. And yeah, so we have one of those kinds of cameras in our photography studio right now, out in the village.
Which is newly done.
Newly done.
It's actually it's a really
It's
fun
pretty
one
cute.
to walk into. Yeah.
It's got photos on the back wall too.
It's got a nice array of
Cameras and bulbs and
big cameras,
little cameras. Yeah, there's even a little teeny tiny one. Yeah, and then another thing that connects to salt we have in our settling in Freeborn case on the Denmark side, and they're salt cellars. Little cellars that you would have on your table for little mounds of salt.
Oh.
And they were traditionally small containers filled with salt for a formal dinner.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go look at those now. 'Cause
They're
I know
really
I saw
pretty.
them, but I'm not. So I have a question that
Yeah.
you mentioned immigration and salt. Do they use salt when they make lutefisk?
Oh gosh, I can't tell you that. They use poison, but I don't know if they use
We'll
salt.
have to look into
I'll have
that.
to look at that. I'll have to call
We
one of
have
my aunties.
We have a new. Well, it's not new. We have a collection item we've discovered that is kind of fabulous.
I think we'll feature that in our next
Yes,
cocktail
so-
history. But yeah, the little salt cellars are considered a good piece for a charming and elegant place setting. Yeah.
So were they individual to each place setting?
I don't know. I mean, we have 4.
I bet they were
There's
individual.
sets of 4, so
You
maybe
think
they
they
were. Yeah. I know. Are you gonna guess which dog story I was going to talk about?
Are you going to talk about a dog that was rescued?
Yeah, that's the second one I thought of.
It came to my brain at like 2 a.m. this morning. I'm like, oh,
You
I
knew.
know where she's going.
That's because it connects to Marion Ross.
Yes.
I like Marion Ross's history.
You know what I love? I drove by it again yesterday. I rounded that corner up from Broadway to Marion Ross. Is it Street or Boulevard? I
Boulevard.
love her sitting on the bench.
That's sweet.
It just makes me happy.
She's just
I just feel like I'm like, oh, God, you really could just sit down and say, hey, Marion,
yeah.
what you doing?
Well, in 1942, when she was 13 years old, there's a whole newspaper article that happened because of this event that she was involved in. So she's just kind of like skating around on Fountain Lake, and
It was winter.
It was winter.
Did you say that?
I didn't say that.
Okay.
She's skating around in the winter, 1942, and she sees like a commotion off to, I think it's at the north side. And she looks and goes, gosh, it looks like a little boy is drowning. And so she tells somebody, takes off her skates and gets over there, and comes to find it's a little spaniel that is drowning in the frozen lake, in a hole in the lake. And so she rescues him, and people, like fire department comes out and thinking there's a little boy that needs help, and they help rescue a dog. She's 13 years old. And it's the same year that she changed her spelling of her name from A-N in Marion to O-N.
So when she was here just a couple months ago, did you talk to her about that story?
I did not.
Oh.
No, I was a little starstruck, so I was having a hard time.
Everybody was a little bit starstruck, I think. Yeah, I didn't even think to ask her about.
Right.
Tell us more.
Yeah. Yeah, she's really cool.
She was a very fun visitor to have. Yeah, I welcome back anytime.
Oh yeah,
it was wonderful.
Right. I have another dog story.
All right, this one I couldn't guess.
This one you don't know. Well, and I have another dog thing that I could connect to. But this is from an Albert Lee Tribune article from the late 1800s, early 1900s. I don't have the specific date, but it reads like this. Title, Mad Dog at Large.
Oh no.
On Sunday afternoon, a mad dog aroused a good deal of terror by a raging tour of Frank, Newton, Broadway, and East Clark streets, until after repeated attempts, he met death on the steps of the Freeborn Hotel.
Oh dear.
He was a medium-sized spaniel and was first seen on Frank Street about 5 o'clock, where he attacked Andrew Mickelson, who was sitting in his yard, biting him in the face. On Broadway, he bit little Lillian Nelson, and then at the corner of Newton and East Clark.
I shouldn't laugh, but it's like a fairy tale.
Right.
It's written like it's a...
or like a newscast. But it does get graphic, I'll warn you towards the end here. But on Broadway, he bit little Lillian Nelson, and then at the corner of Newton and East Clark, he attacked Irving Tyre of the Minute Lunchroom, biting him severely on the leg. It is known that he bit several dogs, one belonging to policeman Flanagan, which was shot that afternoon. The others are being taken care of as fast as reported. The police cornered the dog on the Freeborn Hotel steps, shooting him several times, either using wooden bullets or being poor marksmen, and finally had to beat the poor animal's brains out with a piece of gas pipe. The brains were sent to the University of Minneapolis for examination. Return reports pronouncing the case hydrophobia and ordering every victim at once to the hospital for free treatment.
So is hydrophobia rabies?
I think so. Because that's a symptom of rabies. I'm guessing that's what they called it before they called it.
You can't. Rabies. What are police officers supposed to do? You can't let that dog keep running rampant. Goodness.
I think it's a little cheeky for them to say either using wooden bullets or being poor marksmen. They had to resort to being more violent.
Let's just hope it was the wooden bullets. I don't know. Oh.
Yeah.
Gal.
Right? So that was a mad dog, not a salty dog.
My mom grew up in Geneva.
Yeah.
And they had a family dog, and she rode him like a horse, and she lost half her ear.
Did he bite it?
I bit it right off. I can remember we would comb my mom's hair and we'd brush it back so we could see the... And she'd do this.
Oh, she's got covered up. Oh my.
Yeah, so that's another Freeborn County dog story.
Well, I'm about to add to a Freeborn
Would have been
County
in the
dog.
1930s. You are about to add. I know. We've given her a lot of grief, and so Risha is becoming a dog parent this next 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And she is adopting a 12-week-old, 13-week-old.
She is now 16 weeks.
16-week-old Great Pyrenees German Shepherd Bull Mastiff mix.
We don't know if it's Bull Mastiff, but Mastiff.
Mastiff.
And most of it is Mastiff. She's gonna be so big.
I just don't even. Pete keeps saying that dog is just gonna pull her.
No, she's gonna be trained.
Wait till that squirrel pops up in front of her, and Risha's gonna be behind. So when you see this huge dog running down a sidewalk, and there's a small woman hanging on and flying behind her, it's Risha. She's taken a lot of grief.
Yes, I have. But I'm excited.
We warned her about cat poop, because she also has a cat, and that's like kitty or puppy treats for big dogs, for any dog. What else? You kind of got...
I've got a lot.
But she works so many hours, it's going to be hard to take care of. She's taken a lot of grief.
But but it's exciting. I'm excited.
Well, we love our pets, right?
Yeah.
Pets are good. Pets are, yeah. Okay. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's a quick